Okay, welcome everybody to the January 2023, January 12th meeting of the Texas Teams community. We are moving into this will be our fourth year as I think it's be our fourth year. Yeah, last year was our third year. This will be our fourth year that we've been meeting in February. And so I'm really excited about what we're going to do this coming year. And as you're going to see from our agenda, I'm going to be really calling on the community in the last part of our discussion today to help me decide what it is that y'all want to talk about in this coming year. I have a couple of ideas that I noted down, but I just wanted that to be kind of an open brainstorming session. But let me start with the beginning in mind. And first, provide a little bit of welcomes here. And as always, want to thank Mark Leavenworth and the DIR for their ever steadfast partnership on the Texas Teams community. So thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Michael, for hosting.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So I'm really excited about some of the information that we have that's going to potentially help some of you and all of you in your efforts. The first item on our agenda after the welcome and introductions, which we are now done with, is we're going to be talking about some grants that are available for collaboration technologies. And we have Jessica Riddle here with us, and she is an expert in this, and she has helped lots of educational agencies. So for those of you who are attending who are not a state agency, and you kind of always get the a little bit of the slight on this call because it is mostly focused around state agencies and cities and counties. We have really good information for our educational friends as well. And then we are going to talk about our end user training that we have available. We've talked about this before, but we just keep adding more services to this. And Donnie Severson and I were talking earlier today about what all's available and how many thousands of employees for state agencies that we have trained through this program just in the last year. And so want to really give a refresh on what that is and really encourage any and all of you to take advantage of this if you have not, or if you are, let's even use more. And then, as I said, we're going to have an open discussion, talk about this coming year. We'll be kicking off the new theme and everything else. As you know, this year was one tribe with more cowbell. Everybody's using Teams, but we all need more cowbell. So we're going to talk about, we'll come up with a new theme for next year. I'll come up with that because it's always fun. And it's going to be influenced by what we're going to be doing. And so the next thing is thank you for everybody who signed up on the Texas Teams community interest list. This is just a form that you fill out and you put in your name and email address and what agency you work for. And this is how I invite you to the meeting. Now, you can always forward it to your coworkers. The challenge with that, if they don't sign up on this list, is I really need to clean up my invite list. And I'm gonna, the easiest way for me to do that is copy all the email addresses out of this interest list. But some people have just gotten this through word of mouth, and and I might miss some people. So encourage you to sign up on this if you have not already, or if you've left an agency and joined an agency. And you can put in a removal request. So in other words, to be removed. Our friend Dan Knight, who was with us for so many years, has moved into a new role. And so I'm going to be pulling him off the list, but that's an easy way, is to drop your request into there. I am still going so low tech with this interest list. It's a spreadsheet, and I cut and paste it into a Teams meeting. I really, one of these days, I'll actually use the tech to my advantage. Without further ado, let me introduce Jessica Riddle. Jessica is a regional grant manager with an organization called Learn, Design, Apply, Inc. And they have been helping organizations with grants for, I think it's decades now. And so I found out about them through our partner, Poly, who does room systems and cameras and headsets and all kinds of stuff. You've heard me brag about their V2000 Focus headset V2 Focus, V-Focus 2 headset that I use working from all over the place, including coffee shops, good noise canceling. But they have a relationship with Poly, and through that, offer these services for grant management. And so let me go ahead and hand it over to Jessica. And Jessica, if you want to share your screen, if you have some slides that you want to share, then you can. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So warm welcome to Jessica, and I will stop here.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, and thank you guys for having me on today. Let me share my screen. And so guys, as Michael said, I am Jessica Riddle. I am with Learn, Design, Apply. We are a grants management and consulting firm, and we have a contract with Poly to assist their customers in identifying and applying for grant funding. This is a value-added service that Poly provides for all of its customers. There's no cost to our service. We are really here to be a resource for you to help you identify and apply for grant funding. So our organization has been doing this for over 20 years. I was a grant writer for 15 years prior to taking on this role. And so we provide as much support as we can. So we help develop funding strategies. We help organizations understand how to put together a competitive application, make sure that they're going to be eligible before they apply. We assist with putting that application together from a project management standpoint. So, making sure that all the paperwork is done completely, and when you hit the submit button, every item is in there. We aren't grant writers. It's just a conflict of interest, and so but we do assist by providing editing support and things like that, and making sure that the applications that go in, are going to hit all those data points. If you do want to hire a grant writer, then we do have a network of grant writing consultants that we refer our customers to. And after the grant's been awarded, we also help customers keep up to date with reporting requirements and things like that. So we're really here to be as much of a resource as Poly customers want. And so sometimes they want lots of help, and sometimes we're just kind of around to answer questions and make them aware of what programs are out and available. And so today we're going to be talking about a couple different discretionary grant programs that are great opportunities for public sector entities. And the main one that I wanted to talk about today is the Rural Utility Service Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grant. And the reason I'm bringing this one up today is because the application window is open. It actually has a pretty tight turnaround this year. The grant came out on December 1st and is due on January 30th. And so it is a little bit tight if you haven't started an application yet, but we are definitely still helping applicants put together their applications. Definitely some of our writers still have some space to take on new applications. So if anyone is interested, definitely reach out right after this call, and we can help you understand what your particular project would look like. So this is a technology-focused grant put out by the USDA, and its purpose is to provide interactive real-time distance learning and telehealth projects in rural communities. And so the definition of rural by the USDA is any community, any town or city with less than 20,000 people. And so depending on how small your town is, you're going to be more competitive than in other places. But really the cutoff for receiving services through this grant is less than 20,000 people. Almost anyone is eligible to apply for this grant. It really will fund anyone except for private entities and entities in coastal barrier zones and federal entities. So the great thing about this grant is that it's been coming out for years. It started coming out in 1996, and it's come out almost every year since then. It didn't come out in 2022, and it didn't come out in 2012. And so what we've seen with this grant is that a lot of organizations like to apply year after year as they expand their distance learning or telemedicine networks. And so it's really a great consistent source of funding for technology. And we've been working on this grant for over 20 years now. When I was a grant writer, I started writing the RUS grant in 2006, and I wrote it all the way up until 2020 when I took this position. So the quick details, The way the project is designed and scored, it's about connecting rural entities either together or to an urban site for resources. And so the grant will be scored based on all of those rural sites. So if you have 3 rural school districts with each with a high school and an elementary school, then you're going to have 6 separate sites. And then it'll be scored based on how rural those sites are, and then what their economic need is, and then special consideration. So rurality and economic need are based on census level data. And then special consideration is essentially a focus area that the USDA determines every year. It varies from year to year depending on what their priorities are. And if your application is focused on that, then you can receive additional points. This year, special consideration is focused on projects that provide mental health services, projects that support native languages, and then end user sites that are on either tribal lands and farm worker communities or distressed energy communities. So the as far as the budget goes, it is a 3-year grant period, and you can receive an award size of anywhere from 50,000 all the way up to 1 million. There is a 15% match on the federal request. So if you apply for 1 million, your match will be 150,000. And the way that works out, it's about 13% of project costs. So the funds must go towards technology and associated services with that technology. So this grant, it is a capital expenditures grant. So it's really only going to pay for the hardware and software associated with that distance learning or telemedicine network. So think about things like video conferencing devices, peripheral devices such as interactive panels or document cameras. In a telemedicine setting, it would pay for things like telemedicine scopes. It will also pay for some kind of amazing peripheral devices that can be used in an educational or telehealth setting. And so something like a patient simulator for a nursing program would be eligible through the grant. Since it's a 3-year grant, it will also pay for things like 3 years of site licenses, such as Teams licenses. And so it will also pay for installation. It'll pay for training, and then it'll also pay for broadband expenditures. But the broadband expenditures are limited to 20% of the budget. So as I said, it's due on January 30th. And so we're about 2.5 weeks out from the deadline at this point. So to kind
Jessica, I just wanted to just highlight, y'all may have been wondering at the beginning of that, why are we talking about this? But I really appreciate you bringing it around. I mean, you really could use this for paying for teams if you have distance learning programs, or as you said, telemedicine programs, and you just don't have the Teams rooms or the remote sites or those kinds of things. This is exactly what it's for. And I just, when Jessica told me about this a couple of months ago, I just really wanted to get this in y'all's and in your have this information available to you. So please go ahead. I just wanted to thank you for grounding that in how we could use it here in our community.
Of course. So I think to kind of help you understand, what a project would look like, keep in mind that even if you are in an urban area, you can apply for this grant so long as the services that you are providing are going to rural communities. And so a couple examples of the DLT grant that we've had in the past. One that I worked with last year was in higher education. It was a community college, and their goal was to provide dual enrollment courses to rural high schools in their service territory. So they connected to 28 schools, and each of those schools received a distance learning cart. So a mobile cart with a display, a video conferencing device, a Teams license, and then probably an attached computer. And then the higher education, the institution of higher ed, they outfitted a couple conference rooms, some of their classrooms, as well as an auditorium at the college in order to push out those live and interactive classes. We also have worked with a lot of departments of corrections. And so here we're seeing a lot of opportunities for providing telehealth and telemental health services in correctional institutions, as well as college courses, GED programs, and other types of training programs for inmates. We have also worked with quite a few public health agencies. So there is one that received an award last year, They've received a couple over the years, and they were providing opioid and substance use services in rural areas. So connecting to rural areas for training behavioral health care workers, increasing the number of behavioral health specialists in those rural communities, and then providing the telehealth as well. And so kind of some more examples of what we've seen over the years. A lot of K through 12 schools apply for this grant for the purpose of either teacher sharing because they can't get specialized teachers in rural communities. And so we see a lot of K through 12s that connect to each other in order to have access to a foreign language teacher or an advanced math teacher. We also see a lot of universities that apply in order to push out courses to either high schools for degree programs even, or for I'm working with a state university system this year that is pushing out content to their extension sites. So providing agricultural content. So there's kind of a lot of different things that you can do with the grant. It will definitely have a lot of settings in healthcare, and so a lot of mental health programming is being conducted this year and last year. Over the last couple of years, there's really been an emphasis on it, and so we see a lot of mental health programs as well. And so, do you guys have any questions about this grant? Okay.
We
well,
had
let
one
me
in
just,
the chat
okay.
just about when did this start, and I replied that it started in December. The open request period started in December, and Tracy Romero was just saying something great to keep in mind for next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the grant typically comes out in the spring. This year, the 2022 program got delayed until December because the USDA was given a mandate to get some broadband funding out the door, and so we anticipate that the next program will be in spring of 2024, probably late winter, and sometime in that February to April window is when it'll come out, and then it's almost always due 60 days later. Okay, and so the next grant that I was going to talk about is the Assistance to Firefighter grants, and this grant, actually, the notebook just came out the other day on Tuesday, and so it is due on February 10th. And these grants, they are available to firefighters, and then state fire training academies and unaffiliated EMS organizations. And so this is a grant that comes out every year. I'm sure your fire departments know about it. So I bring it up because not everyone realizes that you can get Teams licenses through it. You can get video conferencing devices through it, and you get it through the operations and safety category. And it's really for training. And so the advantage there is that it keeps your firefighters inside their own territories, so they're not having to leave in order to access that training. And FEMA has determined that hands-on instructor-led training is a requirement. And so this is a way that they can really get that while remaining in their firehouses. So this grant, as I said, it's due February 10th, and it's not a particularly difficult grant to put together. If you are interested, we have some great grant writing consultants that have had a lot of success with this grant over the years that have backgrounds as firefighters, and so it's definitely a good grant to apply for. Another grant that I wanted to bring up is the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, and this is funding from the DOJ. And state and local municipalities should know if they have access to these funds. And so really, I'm just here to let you know that you can use this equipment. It can be used for all sorts of criminal justice programs, including personnel, equipment, supplies. It can be used for law enforcement, court programs, corrections, drug treatment and enforcement programs, and then crime victim and witness programs as well, corrections, and it can be used for administrative purposes, for things that support your administration. So definitely something like video conferencing and Teams would be eligible through the JAG program. And so it's really just know that it is something that's eligible, and if you want to apply for it for that purpose, then you can use it. And if you do have the funds available to you, you should know because they do publish those lists of allocations. And so I think that's it for today. Just let me know if you guys do have any questions on any of those grants. And as a quick note, if you do have access to your ARPA funds, if they haven't been used yet, then you can certainly use ARPA for Poly and Teams as well.
Jessica, is it okay if I drop your contact information into the chat?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me do that. And including your mobile number?
Yes. Yes. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Okay, give me 1 second to complete that. And Jessica, I know that you mentioned several grants that are top of mind. Are there other grants that might be coming up this year that y'all might be able to assist with so that someone might, I don't know if you have like a mailing list or something or an interest list?
If we don't have a mailing list, but anyone who is interested should just reach out, and then as these grants get posted or as we take a look at upcoming funding, then I'm always happy to let people know that they are available. A couple grants that you might think about, particularly if you're K-12, is the school safety grants. They'll be coming out this spring. There's the COPS violence. These are the violence prevention program grants. And so there's the COPS grant. That's really focused on target hardening and increased collaboration with law enforcement. And that is a good grant for those looking for upgrading their phone systems. And then there's also the STOP grant that'll be coming out shortly after that. And that's another school violence prevention program grant. And it will pay for programs that support training. And so if you are a school district or law enforcement or institution of higher ed, in fact, then you can apply for this grant in order to provide training to school personnel and as well as law enforcement.
Excellent.
So
Well, I know we need all the help we can get securing our schools and training our teachers and staff. So that is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anyone who serves rural communities should also be thinking about our core grants. Those are Rural Community Opioid Response Program grants. They come out every year. And so if you are involved in providing opioid and substance use disorder services then to rural communities, then that would be a good one to think about as well. There's a couple grants that come out throughout the year every year.
Awesome. Now, does anybody have any questions? I know there's been some things in the chat, and yes, I will send out the PowerPoint. I'll do that as a follow-up email, so you'll have Jessica's contact information in there, and I put it in the chat. But anybody have a question specifically for Jessica while we've got her here today? All right. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for joining, and you're welcome to stay. But if you have other things you need to do, I certainly understand your East Coast time, and so I will send this out, and and people will follow up with you if they have a question or they want to make an application.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and definitely if you have any questions about the REST grant because it's out, let me know because I'm always happy to talk about it, and talk about brainstorm project ideas and think about, what would make a competitive application. We have a really high success rate with the grant, and so we're always happy to help.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Well, thank
All
you
right,
guys.
awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, let me bring back up the slide deck here. All right. So in addition to getting money, there is also training that is available to you. And there is a variety of different ways that Microsoft can help you with training. And I want to go through a couple, and then I want to hand this over to Donnie. And so one of those, in the past, in the lower left-hand corner of your Teams client, there's a little help button. And if you click on that, then there is a link for training. In the past, for our GCC tenant customers, it was pretty lame. It was like a few links and it would take you to some web pages. But compared to our commercial sector, O365 tenants, it really was significantly lacking. But we are now at feature parity with that little training. And so if you ever have a question about a variety of topics inside of Teams, then what I love about the training that's in there is it's kind of what I like to refer to as micro training. So these are like 3 and 4 minute or maybe max 5-minute trainings that are on a variety of topics, like how do I schedule a meeting? How do I add an organizer? How do I share content? So especially if you've got somebody new, it's just a great place to tell them. And it's what I like to refer to as like training in like on demand. It's just like right there when you need it, and it's very targeted. We also have another training program. I know all of y'all that are Texas state agencies or like City of Austin, I know is here. And then even for our education customers, y'all have a Microsoft support contract through our unified support program. And we have a training you may or may not have heard of called ESI, the Enterprise Skills Initiative. And the ESI training is really more focused not toward your end user, but toward your IT staff. This is more like training toward certifications or platform training around, and it has Azure and it has BI Stack and it has our productivity tools. And so if you are not familiar with this or you hadn't heard about it before, then reach out to your contact at your organization that is the relationship manager for your Microsoft Unified Support. This also is included with your Microsoft relationship, and so also called free. And so the that's again one that you would think of for your IT staff. However, there's 147,000 employees in the state of Texas, and almost each and every one of them, about 80% of them use Teams on a very regular basis. And they also use all of these other technologies that are part of the Microsoft technology stack. And so we have this incredible program that you guys have heard me beat this drum before, called our Customer Success Training Team. And we have Donnie Severson and we have Greg Stevens from our Customer Success Training Team. And Donnie is going to give a refresh for those of you who have heard of this. And going to give a refresh for those of you who have heard of it, and is going to introduce this and also introduce some new topics that have been added into the course catalog, because they're adding new stuff all the time. So Donnie, let me hand it over to you. And I went ahead and added your slide to our deck. And then I know you have other stuff that you were going to share as well.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, and I appreciate the introduction, Michael. I'm going to introduce Greg. He's going to talk about this first slide. I'll show the catalog. Greg, go ahead to take it away. Give a great introduction.
Yeah, awesome. Well, just wanted to hop on really quickly and say thank you to those of you who have participated in our customer success training program and helped evolve it. I know a lot of you are aware and have attended some of our courses in the past, and a lot of our team stems from the Microsoft retail stores that were there. In Austin, there was one in the Domain. We had a few in Houston, one in San Antonio, and those stores closed through the pandemic. And a lot of our team has stemmed from that store and transitioned into virtual roles, delivering training and helping folks really get accustomed to how to utilize their Microsoft solutions, especially through the pandemic. Since then, we've added and added and added topics, and we just actually crossed the 50 topic mark. So really excited that we have so much and such a broad offering and constant, there's constant updates to our catalog, whether that's to specific courses or there's new courses being added. And then we're also continuing to get different language support as we support some customers that may not necessarily be native English speakers. So we've actually, on our team here locally, we've got a couple French and Spanish speaking trainers that we can offer training in as well. But primarily just wanted to say thank you to those of you that have been working with us. And then I also wanted to introduce, of course, Donnie Severson, who those of you may have either worked with myself in the past. I know we had Ray Garcia helping us for a little bit. Our training team has 17 trainers, and all of which who are amazing and have been promoting up and moving to other parts of Microsoft. And so definitely wanted to introduce Donnie as the main point of contact for all things government training requests. For those of you who may be in the education space, um, feel free to take my contact information off of this slide and get a hold of me or Donnie, and we can put you in contact with someone that might be able to assist you on the education side, as we've actually got a completely separate catalog for education, government, and enterprise customers. So absolutely love that we can kind of tailor some of the content to your environment and provide you with live training to accompany some of the things like Michael was talking about, such as some of those videos that the help tab has. So with that, Donnie, I will kick it over to you to kind of walk through the program and give a little refresher or let people know what's available to them.
Oh no, definitely. Thank you so much, Greg. And I see Star. Where I'm going to show you a catalog. If you've worked with us in the past, we've only expanded what we can do. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, show you all what we can do. This is our customer success training catalog. Now, if you're posting any questions, unfortunately, I can't see. I'm only on my laptop screen. But what you're seeing here on the screen is a catalog that actually has been updated. If you've seen our catalog before, I saw some familiar names in the attendee list. So hi, if you've worked with me. If you haven't, I'm super excited. This catalog that I would send you, as you look at it, okay, you're going to see in the bottom left-hand corner, it's going to have a date. You guys are actually getting a preview of the date because this is set to be released on Monday. So you're seeing this before I've had a chance to send it out to anybody else, okay? Now, this catalog is specific to GCC. Okay, so all the trainings that you're going to see here, the agendas, the session guides, all of it has been carefully tailored to a GCC account. Okay, so what you're going to see here, since this is coming out in Monday, you're going to see some new topics. If this is a new catalog and you haven't seen it before, we're going to get it to you. If you have seen it before, you're going to see some really cool stuff. Some of the really cool ones that just got added were the Microsoft Power Pages. This was a new one. So I know before the session started, we were talking to someone was implementing Microsoft Power Platform. I'm going to show you a whole slew of trainings that we're doing for Microsoft Power Platform. Another really cool one is the Insights. So this is one I love to do because there's so many different layers behind Viva, but you have insights directly into it. However, we were talking about get started with Microsoft Teams Phone. I'm going to show you one of the other new ones that's not called out in the front, but it is highlighted right here, is get started with Microsoft Teams Phone. So what you're seeing here in this catalog are 7 pages of specific trainings that are, as Michael called it, free. I like to say complimentary, right, to your licensing. So you don't have to worry about any sort of cost. For us, it's all about how can we support your organization do more with what you have already. So you're going to see in this first tile is Microsoft Teams. If you're implementing it, we have Get Started. If you're familiar with it, we've already done trainings before and you just want to know what's new, you're going to see tips and shortcuts. The most important thing with this is it's for all sizes of organizations, for the end users. So Michael was talking about the trainings for your IT staff to get certified. For this, the biggest question we get is, well, you know what? We have a 250 support, end user team. We have 1,000, 2,000, 19,000. We support all sizes of government agencies, all the ways down from, small IT engineering teams, all the ways up to full counties, right? And we will conduct this end user training, match it with your rollouts, or get the individuals trained up or just refreshed on the different products. I can say that we've had some great success. Hopefully you don't mind me calling out, but like TxDOT or Texas the Health and Human Services for Harris County, we've had some where, you can be as easy as, I want the catalog. These are the sessions that we want, right? It could be super easy. You just tell me what dates, what times, and we get you call links, we get you registrations, we provide recordings, we do it all, right? All this is conducted live with your end users, but we provide recording links afterwards. So that way, if you want to share it across your organization, or we can take a more in-depth approach. If you say, hey, Donnie, we're rolling out, we'll do a discovery call. We're rolling out teams. We'll take that step-by-step guide and goal to match it with your end users and roll this out. We would do, get started with teams, and then we would move on to explore teams and channels, and then large audiences. So each one of these boxes that you see here is a full-blown hour session. So we'll get asked, well, Donnie, you know what? We want to do a full day or 2 days of Power Platform. Well, we have 8 boxes here. Each one is an hour, so that could be a full 8-hour shift if we want to do it. We can do once a week. We can do 4 day and get them all covered. But you'll see they'll range from Microsoft 365 to Power Platform to Teams. M365, we cover the full stack. Okay, you're going to see Viva, you'll see Stream. Frontline workers, if you want to get an idea across multiple programs, but within an hour, the frontline workers is amazing because it's going to give you the ability to leverage teams. We're going to show your end users how to use and manage shifts, how to go through approvals, so you're not constantly getting an email saying, hey, I need this approval cost. I need this approval cost. We show you how to use approvals and then tasks all within 1 hour session. Or some of my favorites, since devices are constantly being updated, we have some modern desktops with Windows 10, Windows 11, and we show you how to use the operating system. You'll see on my screen, this is Windows 11. If you're running Windows 10, it looks a little bit different. There's always that learning curve, especially as you're deploying these devices. There's that learning curve that your end users are having to go through. So we take that issue and we make it better, right? We help your end users learn it at a pace and they can ask their questions. So I send this to you. We could talk, we could sit down. If you have an idea, we'll say it again, it's completely complimentary. We will support organizations and do trainings from 1 person, 2 people, 3 people. If you want to get an overview of what we call a train the trainer, you can have these champions that want to learn and help guide that Microsoft training, all the ways up to thousands. We conduct it, you can host it, however you want. We just want to help you help your end users understand and use the Microsoft stack, the Microsoft products better. You're paying for it, why not use it, right? So feel free to ask your questions. I'll be here. You'll have my email. I'm sure we'll post it you'll get this PowerPoint presentation. We'll post my email, Greg's email. All you have to do is send me a message and say, hey, Donnie, I want to learn more about the trainings around bookings or to-do or whiteboard. Or we could take it easy and just say Microsoft Teams altogether, and we will walk through that step by step. There is no deadline. If you want to do 1 session 1 day and that's it, that's perfect. I like to do more of what I call Microsoft Mondays. If you worked with me, I'm more about being consistent. So I'll host like a Microsoft Mondays at 9 a.m. and where we'll do 1 session every Monday for the foreseeable future, right? So that way your employees can join a training session. They expect a training session on Monday at 9 a.m. on a Microsoft product. So they come in ready to learn. It's not a one and done, I'm going to learn this and be it. We're here for you through the life of the Microsoft product. We're here for you teaching something new every single week. It can be redos. If you find, I can tell you the top 10 are going to be Excel, SharePoint, the whole entire Microsoft Teams ecosystem, and OneNote. Those are some of the most popular sessions, and we do Excel. I mean, I'm going to tell you, Excel is probably one of our more popular ones because you have Get Started. Then we'll do tables. Then we'll have another hour session on advanced functions and charts and pivot tables. That's four trainings that we can support and do a Microsoft Monday over a month. right? Every Monday we're teaching them something on a new one like Excel, and then move on to next month we can do, you know, cloud training, and then SharePoint 200. So we have another month schedule. So these are just ways to help you understand the trainings that your end users have at the power of their fingertips. So we'll leave it there. I'm going to leave you hanging on. I'll send this catalog if you want to get it before I send it to you. If I've never worked with you before, Michael, you know, I'll send it to Michael and we'll see if we can get that sent out. If you want this and you're like, hey, Donnie, I want this catalog, send it to me. Send me an email. Send me a Teams message if you're using Teams. I'll send it to you and we can start getting the ball rolling. If I haven't met you,
Teams.
no Teams. I'm sorry, we can't because
No.
we
I
can't.
said they're all using Teams. Everybody's
Okay, no,
on
yeah,
Teams.
send me. Oh, oh my goodness, you're right. No, yeah, you are. I want those messages. Send me a message on Teams. My email, if you type in dosever, DOSEVER at Microsoft. If you send that, hey. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can see my son. He broke his arm recently. If you send me a message on Teams, you'll be able. I can attach this catalog and you can get it. Besides that, I look forward to hearing from you. I'll be here. I'll be hanging out. Greg, any last words you want to close us out with?
No, I cannot match your enthusiasm, Donnie. All I could say is, again, thank you all for those that have already participated in our program, and for those of you who that haven't, it is such a great value add to be able to utilize this training with your license.
Right on.
Yeah,
Now,
Donnie and I, we get together and do shots of espresso together.
we do.
Not really, but we should. But we probably should.
We should. I love coffee just as much as you do, Michael. We'll hang out a little bit more.
I love it. Well, and I want to brag a little bit on, not that I haven't already, on Donnie and Greg and their team. So Texas and the state of Texas agencies is one of the top 10 users of the customer success training program in the nation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are, y'all are, we, the state of Texas, we're killing it and using this service that's available to us. But we're really just scratching the surface in the number of people that are getting trained. So I just want to encourage everybody to take advantage of this. Awesome. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you,
Yeah,
Greg.
no, thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep. And so what I'm going to do is Donnie sent the catalog to me. And I'm going to send that out as a follow-up. So if you got the invite to this meeting, then what I always do is I reply to all with an email and I send attachments of the slide deck that we use. And actually, Donnie, what I'll do is I'll just drop the catalog in to the slide deck. No, I'll separate it out. So it's a separate document. That way, Connie, I saw your message. It'll be in the follow-ups. We can't, if I share it in the Teams meeting here, you won't be able to download it from there. So I'll send it as a follow-up. Yeah, Mark, thanks for your comment. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, let me go back to, actually, I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a second here. And trying to minimize my windows. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen here with you. Okay, so what I'd love to do next, and this is going to require a little bit of audience participation, and we can do that via the chat, or we can. I would welcome anybody and everybody to come off mute, and you can turn your camera on if you like or not. And so what I'm going to do is I would love to get your ideas on things that you would like to hear about in this coming year. One of the topics that's near and dear to my heart is what's called third-party applications. So third-party applications are things like the Adobe PDF suite, DocuSign or Adobe Sign, Jira, or in the case of like TxDOT, Bentley Systems, Esri, there's all these third-party companies that have these big software platforms, and they have created a Teams version of their platform. Often and almost exclusively, those are offered at no additional cost. And what they typically have is sometimes they have the full integration of the capabilities, and sometimes it's more limited. Like you've got some, really big complex system like Bentley's Project View, and there's a more scaled down collaboration version that is available to be surfaced up inside of Teams. But one that's just about to come out for GCC is Adobe. So if you ever opened up a PDF that is inside of Teams, like somebody shared a PDF with you, it's a pretty lame experience. It opens it up, but you don't have any of your Adobe tools. And so Adobe now has an integration into Teams, and you don't have to have like an Adobe license or be like Adobe Acrobat. It can just be the Adobe Reader capability. But you can have that full capability built right into Teams. I think what I'm going to do is actually do a demo and a highlight of that next month, because I'm hoping that it's going to be out and fully available at GCC by next month. But that's just one example of a third-party application that we could highlight. So I can't see the team screen, so let me actually try to bring these up next to each other. I don't know if that's going to work really well. We'll see. Okay, great. Okay, so anybody out there that has something that you have been interested in learning about and would like to have, Star, so you got your hand up, please.
Okay, sorry, it's a couple of things, and I
No, that's
wanted
fine.
to jump in because I have to go to a Microsoft support meeting at 4.
Okay.
But one, and I know this happened a while ago, but it's just something I've just recently noticed. And I know it's GCC and commercial, it's everybody. But when you go to look at a Teams meeting recording that has been shared with you, so not one you hit record on, but one that's under OneDrive shared. Download is not an option for those meeting recordings. It's also not an option for whiteboards, but it is an option. Download is an option from someone else's OneDrive that has been shared with you for other Microsoft products like Word and Excel and things. So I know download used to be an option on Teams meeting recordings in Stream. So I'm just wondering if that functionality is going to come back to be able to download recordings that you have access to. You have access to watch them, so you should have access to download them. The other thing is I heard the Teams wikis are moving to OneNote. So some more information on that would be nice. I know in commercial, there's a Teams meeting Q&A, but we can't access it, and the roadmap only shows general availability. So I don't know when/if we can do that, because currently, if we're in a meeting with someone who's using Q&A, we can't see the Q&A. So it kind of limits our participation. And one last thing is, well, two, I guess. If anything that you could tell about using Flow within Teams, Power Automate, because I did find a template to schedule messages, because I was kind of eager to use that since it's still pretty far out of the roadmap, but I can't get it to work. And the last thing, kind of big thing, is if you have heard anything about when GCC will be able to access the feedback portals.
Yeah. That's you and I have had we've been going back and forth on this, what, like a year now, Star?
Yeah, I just had somebody on yesterday in the Stream customer meeting was like telling people, oh, go upvote things in the Stream feedback portal. And it's like, I would love to, but I can't because it's not available to GCC.
Yes, it kills me. So yeah, okay. So and I'll just put
it's well, not even upvote, because it was funny because then they're bragging and they're like, we do listen to your feedback, and it was like, I can't give you feedback.
Right. Here's some feedback. I can't give you feedback. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll check on this. that's just sort of, I'm just going to put a asterisk. I'll report on it to everybody, but I know you're the one that asked it. Those are great topics. Thank you, Star. And I don't mind you giving me a whole list. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay. I know there's some other people out there that aren't afraid to come off mute and ask questions or add stuff. But let me go to the chat and see what we have here. Limitation on I can't figure out how to email my entire chat conversation to myself. It only mails single comment at a time. Yeah, Glenn. There's a couple of email capabilities with regard to Teams that are not in GCC. It's not just you, yeah. And so there is a integration between Outlook and Teams, but there is a capability that's not available in GCC that is like being able to email a Teams channel, and so that's not in GCC. But like you said, it's like one comment at a time, which is not super helpful. I had somebody tell me one time that if you go into Teams in the browser, then you can like highlight like a lot of the chat and copy it. I know that's not quite what you're asking for, like this kind of button to email it, but that might be a way where you can just go into the browser because it's it's rendered as a web page, and that might give you the ability to copy more of it. Let's see. Oh, cool. Thanks, David. When did you guys integrate LMS 365? Not trying to put you on the spot, but that's
Sorry,
really great.
I'm trying to come off mute. Hi, everybody. We did it fairly recently. I know Michael has suggested that we do it a long time ago, but we have multiple catalogs, and we weren't sure how that worked. But it's pretty slick. It's got a way to actually surface all the different catalogs in the organization. LMS is a learning management system, so that's the one we kind of standardized on for the city. And yeah, it's good. I could give y'all a little demo if you want to see it, but I just want to let you know because you're talking about third-party apps. This seemed to be something that I thought gets the Dave Gottlieb 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dave. And I know that the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, has been using LMS 365 very successfully. And then Austin Energy, I think they have it integrated into Teams. So I'm really psyched to hear that you guys have it. And why don't we see if there's some more suggestions? And if not, I would love to see what it looks like in your environment, because I know that y'all have some really great content, and you've been the content author of quite a bit of content. So yeah, agreed, Sandra. You guys are. I like the forward thinking that y'all do.
Hi, Sandra.
Let's see. I can print a PDF a page. Okay, I can print to PDF a page of the chat using a browser. Okay, yeah, it's not quite as good, but as just being able to get the whole thing with that might help a little bit. Okay, what about other topics? Is there, I think we talked about quite a while ago, talking about Power BI, and David Gottlieb, when we were doing the Got Teams sessions for a while, he had shown the integration of like creating a form, having some business process flows using Power Automate, and then having that go into a repository that he surfaced up in Power BI right in a tab in Teams. Would there be interest, and maybe you can just do like a reaction thumbs up or clapping? Would there be interest in a little bit more about Power BI integration with Teams? All right, Judy, I see you. Star, I see you there. All right, excellent. Mark, all right, cool. So I will add Power BI integration to Teams, and also we'll kind of maybe highlight some of those use cases. Not just how do you do it, because that's pretty simple, but we'll do a session on kind of the way that you can surface stuff up, and some different scenarios and integrations that you can do. So I think I'm repeating myself there. Okay. What else? Anybody have any other topics that they would be interested in for a session?
Hey, Michael, this is Judy.
Judy.
Selfishly, the Power BI with Teams, anytime that you can pull data from a SharePoint list, that's what our agency uses a lot. We actually use listen libraries for a lot of our processes, and even to the point of I pulled a lot of our federal and state reporting from those processes. So I've created a lot of flows. You were talking about third-party apps. I use a couple of third-party connectors. Like Muhembi creates a PDF document that starts as an MS form just on our intranet, like our Teams page, our SharePoint page, and feeds into a list, but then also, depending on what you select, it kicks off an automatic email with a PDF report.
Really?
Just so we can check a box for our VA contract. Just nobody looks at it. We just have to do it. So it's an outreach report that says, I went here on this date, I visited this school, talked to this many students. Here you go. But
Nice.
that this is just what we've managed to figure out as we go. So any kind of training specific to that, and then always the BI element to display the data in the way that leadership likes to see it.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, that's one of the things I really like about that Power BI integration into Teams is that, if you have a project going or, an ongoing initiative like, y'all needing to report to the VA, then you can have a team that's associated with that topic. And then you can have, you got some files and you have some chats and everything, but then you can have, maybe you surface up some of that SharePoint information, and then you actually have a Power BI chart that is specifically tailored to the people that need to look at that. And we just added a capability. One of the challenges is from the past is you would send somebody a link to a Power BI, but then they look at it and it opens up in like the default view. It's not in the view that you've tailored down for exactly what they needed to see. Well, now when you send a link, it actually sends them directly to the view that you were looking at. And so it makes it much easier to share knowledge with Power BI than it used to be. Yeah, thanks, Star. Really appreciate it. Okay, so SharePoint integration, automations, Power BI integration. Judy, I may pull you into some of that stuff that you were talking about automating the process to create a PDF with a document attached. Let's see. I'm gonna actually make a note. PDF automation. I really like that. All right, Roxy.
Thank you. I see that it says, what is it called? It says roadmap in the apps that are available. Is that the 365 roadmap that we typically access through SharePoint?
Well, let's see. So there is there's our big roadmap that's up available on the web, and there then there's also sometimes like a PowerPoint presentation of a roadmap. Is there a different roadmap you're talking about, Roxy?
I don't know what it is. I just spotted it in the list of apps that are available. It says roadmap Microsoft project, and it is in the managed tasks list. So maybe it's something else.
That is something else. Thank you for asking. And I don't know that much. Okay, here we go. There we go. Yeah, David Tarver, thank you. Yeah, roadmap is a feature of Project Web App. And so I had a lot of confusion one day. I think it was Parks, that was Texas Parks and Wildlife, that was asking me to come in and talk about roadmap. And I came in to talk about our roadmap for features in Teams. And they were like, no, we're talking about Project. David Tarver, do you know any more than that? Do you mind sharing a little bit about what you know, or
I
to
was
be-
not prepared to make a presentation today, so.
No, just like it's part of Project Web App, right?
Yes, if you're managing a portfolio of several projects, you can take and drop items, drop tasks onto a roadmap, and it will give you an opportunity to kind of see an overall picture of where we might be at this point in time, or where we were. It's you could set up your own roadmaps if it's it's a feature of Project Web App. It's kind of hard to explain without like showing the whole thing, but I don't have anything.
No,
set up,
that makes sense. So yeah, and I love the fact that you can tie different things onto the roadmap, and so you kind of got a visual representation that ties to additional data. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Sorry to put you on the spot there, but that was great information. So Roxy,
Yes,
does that
thank
answer
you.
that question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Love the community. Okay. Anybody else have a suggestion for additional topics for next year? All right. Well, you can always put them in the chat. And David Gottlieb, you still up for sharing a little bit about what you guys are doing with LMS 365?
I'm game if y'all are.
Yeah. So let me I'll just say a couple of things about LMS 365 because they are one of the training platforms. And one of the cool things I like about them is that it is built on top of Office 365. And so it really is built on top of what you already own. And it provides some really nice integrations. And there's a gentleman named David Merrill that works for them that covers the state of Texas. So if any of you guys need contact information for them, feel free to let me know, and I'd be happy to provide that. All right, David, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, let me just let me go back to Teams here so I can show you. Let me share my screen here real quick. Okay, this was not planned, so just be gentle, ladies and gentlemen. Be gentle. Let's see. All right, I think I'm sharing my Teams screen. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. I'll turn my camera on just so that you put a face with it. Okay, so typical Teams screen, and you'll see these three ellipses here on the left. And once you integrate an app, or your global admins authorize an app, it'll be in here, and you can search for it. And if you'll see LMS 365. That's what we got done this last couple of weeks, is added this to our Teams apps so that it could be added by our end users. And then once you add it one time, just kind of a little gotcha, you need to go back. If you just add something one time and then quit and come back, it doesn't stay. You have to pin it. Let's see here, but of course it's not going to do that because I'm in the app. But what happens here is, now that you've added it to your tile here, to your left-hand column, you'll see that it's put in this, it looks like another team here, but it's put in this window with some 4 columns here, and this is your training dashboard. So all the training in the catalog in our LMS system, and we've got, LMS can be segmented out so that you can say, HRD, you have your own training catalog and training admin and training team. You create training courses in your catalog, whereas the police department, they may not want to be associated with that, and they want to have their own training catalog and their own training materials, so they can segment it all. But at the end of the day, all of those catalogs are stored in the LMS database. And so, irrespective of the catalog, one thing I like about this is it shows me these are all the classes that I'm quote unquote enrolled in and that I'm supposed to take. And so you could click on any one of these and it'll take you right into the class. This is the LMS class. And you can have training plans that are comprised of courses. So actually, this is another project I was working on leveraging Power Apps to process and improve CGIS security awareness training, CBI training. And so this is the training plan that we use for this. And there's a whole process I could show you later if you're curious about how we use Power Apps to get Adobe Sign forms filled out and register for a training class, and getting your fingerprints taken. But that's a different story.
Wow.
Let me go back. So I'll go back to LMS and the homepage here. So these are all the these are all the courses I'm enrolled in. And then if I click on this catalog tab, this will surface all the different catalogs in the city. And what I was saying is we have different departments. So we have Austin Public Health, Animal Services, Austin Code, Austin Public Library. So all of these have their own catalog administrator. So if you wanted to search in one in particular, you could. But I'll search in my department's training catalog, which is Communications and Technology Management, and it'll show me, and this is the standard user interface for this, but you can view this as a list, you can view this as a card, and then you could filter by category. This is all part of the catalog admin's job to kind of set up these categories and whatnot. And then, like you could filter by e-learning, or you could filter by skills. And then it shows you all the classes that you have access to see. It's permissions trimmed, just like anything else in SharePoint. So it's only showing you classes you have permission to see. And then, this is my boot camp one. You could view the training plan, and it'll take you right into the course, all without ever leaving Teams. So I think it's pretty slick, and yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
That's cool, David. And do you guys do y'all integrate like LinkedIn courses? Like, I know that y'all are a subscriber to LinkedIn Learning. Do you guys do any? Is there integration between like other third-party content providers?
I'm sure there is. I just haven't done it yet. But we do have LinkedIn Learning for everyone in the city. So that might be the next icon that appears over to the left. But at least we got the LMS there integrated into Teams.
No, that's super cool. And I know that you had that right there, the Microsoft Office 365 bootcamp, and you created a bunch of content out there, and you had a whole bunch of people that were enrolled in these boot camps. Oh, look at that, still going on.
Yeah, well, it's probably the same one, but this is my registration for all the classes and how much you've completed.
That's great. Oh, you've been a busy guy.
I used to have a full head of hair, and now I'm just scraps.
I used to have black hair, so yeah.
Microsoft. Anyways.
No, it was a mean older brother.
Okay.
David, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. So if you guys are interested in a learning management system, then I personally haven't used it. We use a combination of Viva Learning, which is going to be coming to GCC in later this year, this calendar year. But Viva Learning can integrate to other content catalogs like LinkedIn Learning or Cornerstone or SAP SuccessFactors. But LinkedIn Learning, Viva Learning itself is not a learning management system. It's not like a SCORM compliant system. The SCORM is kind of an old school standard for training modules. It's not that, but it integrates and surfaces up content from others. So we've talked about learning several times, and we've covered quite a bit today about learning, but because there's so many capabilities, and it's just it's hard to keep track. And so we'll continue to bring this up as we go. All right, thanks again, David. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again here. Okay, while we were looking at what David's been doing. Did anybody else have any other things that they would like to see as far as trying to use the little split screen view here? There we go. As far as ideas for additional topics. Okay. I think that's it. All right. Well, these are some great suggestions, and so what I'll do is I'll look at this list and try to prioritize by things that are coming out or already out. There seems to be quite a bit of interest in some of these automations, and so we can certainly talk about that. I do know that it's a challenge to manage the recordings afterwards, so we can add that in the coming. We won't push that out too far. So unless there's anything else that anybody would like to bring up, I think we'll just go ahead and call it a day and give you 17 minutes back on your calendar. Thank you, Rita. It was a pleasure. I hope y'all all had a fun and safe holiday. I wish you all a happy new year and look forward to another great year together with the Text Teams community. Thanks, everybody.